Hello guys, welcome back. Now today I want to talk about the Washington Capitals versus Toronto Maple Leafs Stadium Series game, what I thought of the general events, and what I thought of the game. Now, what I first want to talk about is the overall jerseys. Now, we'll start with the Toronto Maple Leafs one, which I do like better than the Washington Capitals one, but just by a bit, honestly. Before I saw, well, basically when they first unveiled that jersey, I really did like it. Now, I thought it was a lot better than the Washington Capitals one, which we'll get into. It's the white one. It has the blue stripes on. It has the two stripes on it. It's around the logo as well. It has the white Toronto Maple Leafs logo, which you don't see quite as often as the blue one, so that's nice to see there. It's a nice jersey, and I do like it. But once you see it on the ice, I'd say it's a lot worse on the ice than it is in just promotional stuff. Now, it's because the jerseys itself are wider than the actual ice on the actual thing. So we'll get into that as well. The Toronto Maple Leafs jersey is fine, it's decent, but I don't love it. But I don't really necessarily hate it. Now, on to my opinion on the Washington Capitals jersey. It's decent, though there's lots of wasted potential with it. It did look a lot better on the ice, I will give it credit for that, but the red stripe still just turns me the wrong way. I just don't like that part of it. Everything else about it, I do like the colors. I do like the white stripes on top. I am one of the few. I am in the minority that think that white, I guess, shoulders on a home jersey actually looks good. That Pittsburgh Penguins one that I have over there, the alternate, or I guess the Winter Classic that they used in 2009, I really do love that jersey. I know a lot of people don't like it because of those white shoulders, but I actually do like the white shoulder touch on the Washington Capitals jersey. For the logo, just having it caps, I think it's better than having it just Capitals, but it's not as good as the Eagle logo that they have, the alternate logo that they have as well. I mean, it's better than the Capitals, but I think it's still a lot worse than the Eagle that they could have used and they should be using for that logo for the Capitals. But the colors I think are good, but they just have a little bit of wasted potential for the bottom stripes and basically the logo that they use. And overall, combining both the Leafs jerseys and the Washington Capitals jerseys, I'd say that both of them, just the jerseys overall, they're fine. They're not great, but they're fine. I wouldn't buy either of them. Even if they're like $50, I still wouldn't buy either of them. I don't like either two. They're not terrible really, but I just don't like them. Now, one of the best parts about the whole thing, honestly, was just the spectacle of it. Having it, don't quite remember where it was, but I think it was in a football stadium that the Navy uses, which is really cool to see. And sometimes they use football stadiums, sometimes they use baseball stadiums, but of course, football is a lot more akin to a hockey rink than, I guess, a baseball stadium. So that works a lot better. Having all the Navy generals and all that stuff coming out, the Navy band and stuff like that was all awesome. And of course, having the ice on top of like what seemed like an aircraft carrier and having the water above it as well, that was really cool. It wasn't, of course, water and an aircraft carrier, but it looked very much like it, and for that spectacle, I did like it. Just the all-around graphics for everything, just everything overall, just all of the spectacles and everything that was just going around with it. I did like all of that, and the scenery, all of it. It was pretty damn good for the NHL standards, and it did look really well. That's probably one of my favorite parts about this. Now, a lot of that was good, but the ice, of course, was not all that great. The ice, of course, I don't really expect it to be all that great for a stadium series. In a football stadium, I don't expect the ice to be all that great, but of course, it could have looked better. It really wasn't all that great, and of course, it really showed for the quality of ice and the quality of the players that really played. A lot of those guys didn't play all that well. The game was pretty sluggish for the end of the game, and really, I don't think anybody liked the ice. I don't think the ice was very good, and I think everybody can agree it wasn't all that great. Now, this is a good time to talk about the camera angles and overall the presentation for the, I guess, TV. Now, I was watching on NBC. Of course, I'm an American watcher, so it's not going to be on CBC like in Canada. But, of course, Doc Emmerich commentating the game was fantastic. I do love me some Doc, and he's basically the GOAT. I love him. But he was good, he was decent, but the camera angles, they weren't terrible. I mean, I still don't like the overall camera angle of just the normal one, where they have, because they're in a football stadium, they can't really have the ideal hockey, I guess, camera, so they have to have this kind of preset weird angle that isn't as usual for the NHL, which is fine and all, but they weren't doing all that. The camera angles weren't all that great, and I don't really know what to expect from that, but the camera angles, of course, weren't all that great because of the stadium series. And of course, 4 minutes before the game ended, on the American side, on the NBC side, they had to switch to Saturday Night Live because the game was too long. It was getting too long at the broadcast, so they actually had to cut it to NBCSN, and they had to have everybody switch over to there unless they wanted to watch Saturday Night Live, which is really weird. If I was in NHL, I'd be really mad about that because that's like a lot of game that you're missing, that the crowd is missing out on. A lot of people are going to tune out after that because the game is basically over till then, and everybody everybody else that wants to see it has to go switch to another channel, which nobody wants to really do. So overall, it was just a bad feeling for everyone. I guess it probably spilt over the SNL, and people probably didn't like that as well, having to switch over to it. So I don't know what really happened there, but they had to switch over, and Doc Emmerich having to say that was really cringeworthy. Him having to say, "Oh, I have to switch over to NBCSN," which was really weird for him to say. We're gonna have Saturday Night Live. It was really weird, and that was probably the weirdest part and probably the cringiest part of the whole thing there. It was just the game was too long, and they had to cut it to Saturday Night Live, so they had to switch over to channels, which was just the weirdest part of the whole thing. And the final score for the actual game was 5-2 in favor of the Washington Capitals. And the Washington Capitals didn't look all too great, but the Toronto Maple Leafs were letting them get in front of the net all too well. But I'm not going to get totally into the game, but just the Washington Capitals played a lot better than the Leafs. And the Leafs weren't really looking all that great at all. You could tell they were obviously nervous at that kind of a big event, and the Capitals are used to that. Probably the biggest thing is that Ovechkin gets his 598th goal, 2 goals away from 600, which is to be a fantastic milestone. And of course, he's not all too old there, so he can still get probably up to 700, which would be ridiculous if he can keep that going. But he gets 600, that's just unbelievable. He's probably one of the best goal scorers of the NHL history, just pure goal scorer. He probably will probably go down as one of the best, but he gets another goal in this one. For that goal, at least we're kind of giving it to him, but nonetheless, great milestone for him coming up, and when that comes, that'll just be special. Overall, the first period was very enjoyable. There was lots of goals. It was pretty sloppy hockey still, but overall the goals and all that were just distracting from the actual product. Now the second period, the third period were kind of interesting because the second period, the Leafs kind of died, and really the Capitals took advantage. I think they scored a couple of goals on that period. Then the third period was really just bore fest. Nothing was really happening. It was just sloppy hockey throughout the whole thing, and nothing was really happening. Just grindy hockey, and nothing was really happening in the third period. So there was really no reason to watch it, even if it was cut out from NBC. There was really no reason to watch the rest of the period. The game was basically over heading into the third. But you can definitely see that they tried really hard to make this as good as they could, and a few mess ups here and there happened, but overall, they tried their best, really. I think that's all we can really say about it. But overall, I think the NHL is pretty lucky to have that SNL cut happen when it did, and for the game to be the score when that happened. Let's say the Caps were tied with the Leafs 2-2, something like that, and that SNL cut had to happen. Imagine if it was tied and then people missed out on the winning goal. Maybe the goal happened like a couple of minutes after that, and people were kind of confused and didn't know what was happening, and they missed the goal because they're on a different channel. Let's just say that happened. That would have been a disaster for the NHL. I think that they should be pretty thankful that at least the game was sealed then, so that people didn't really miss out on game time goals and stuff like that. That really would have turned the tide over. Overall, it was a mess for some of it, but hey, at least a bit of it was enjoyable, am I right? But that's going to, guys. Like, subscribe, and not ring that bell if you haven't. Tell me down below what you thought of the game and just everything about it, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.